Hello chess friends and welcome to Azarov's chess channel and welcome to my chess tactics and chess puzzle series. So in my two previous videos we did this demolition of a pawn structure with this common sacrifices on the squares h7 and g7. So today of course we'll do a demolition of a pawn structure on the square f7. And the demolition of a pawn structure on f7 is the most common tactical shot. And you'll see I already set up this position in which you see the queen is a little bit here blocked out by this knights and these pawns, and in the previous move black played here the move knight from b to d7, and he also blocked out his like square bishop. So that's the problem, and of course you see we have also the king still in the center. And when you see such positions, when you see these two knights on d7 and f6, you have to consider your tactical shot on f7. And of course, let's see the continuation. We have here bishop takes on f7, king takes on f7, now knight on g5. If the king goes here maybe to e8, then we have immediately here knight on e6, which is of course trapping the queen. And of course, if the king goes on f8, the same thing. So that's why black plays here king to g8, and we have here queen to c4. Of course, black can only try here to play the move e6. We have queen takes on e6, king on f8, and queen to f7, checkmate. So you see, this I want to really recognize this setup by black when he does that here after queen to a4, knight knight on d7. You see this really crowded situation around the king, and basically black's pieces cannot breathe here in this position. So of course you have to search, you have to try your tactical shot. As I always love to say, it's not always possible, but when you see such positions you have to consider the idea to create here maybe a bishop sacrifice. So now we'll see another similar position. It was played between the legendary Robert James Fischer here with the white pieces against Samuel Reshevsky, and Samuel Reshevsky was also grandmaster, and you see what kind of mistakes he also did here in the opening. Well, now in the previous move Reshevsky played here knight on a5, and this uses immediately here Fischer this mistake by Reshevsky with the move e5. So after knight on e8 we have here of course the same idea. You see, again we have sort of a crowded situation, and with this knight on a5, well, black cut out here a little bit the queen out, because the queen would love here to would love the square here to play. But now of course the legendary Bobby finds this tactical shot. Of course he takes bishop takes on f7. Now after king takes on f7, you see if the rook takes on f7, then we have here immediately knight on e6, which of course attacks the queen. If the pawn takes here the knight, then we have here immediately taking the queen, and of course it's game over for black. So in the continuation was played king on f7, but then again the same idea, of course, with an attack on the queen. And now if the king takes on e6, we have here of forced checkmate. Here after king on f5 we have here g4, king takes g4, we have rook to g4, king to h4, queen to e4, now king on h3, queen to g2, king on h4, and queen to g4, checkmate. So you see, it's really common this sacrifice when you realize this sort of crowded situation around the square f7. And I want you sometimes to really realize these positions and try really your tactical shot. So now I wanted to show you one of my positions which I played a couple of days ago on it was a blitz game 3+0, but in this game it was only move 8 now, and black played here the last move that black played is the d5. And because I realized here in this position that this coordination with the knights and the queen work perfectly, now I considered this tactical shot. Of course, if I take now here this f7, then I can go queen in a4, and then queen on h4, pardon me, and then again with the knight on g5, and of course we will then have a very nice attack by the queen and the knight. Of course, I didn't see all of the lines, all of the continuations, but I considered in a blitz game this opportunity, and of course I played here after d5, knight takes on f7 again. So we have here king takes on f7, now queen on h5, and now the king is really under attack. He played king on g8. Now I played d takes e5. I wanted him to take here this knight on e4, because then I will open here with this diagonal here on this square c4, of course on the king. So he of course took. Now bishop on c4. Now we have bishop on d5, getting in between of the check, of course. Now I played queenside castle. We have here c6. Now I sacrifice the rook here on d5. We have here c takes d5. Rook again, the other rook comes into the game. You see, these rooks are not playing, so of course I have done some rook sacrifices, but basically you have to value your activity of your own pieces. So when your opponent hasn't played with your pieces, basically it's like he has started the game without them. So here after queen to e7, I again took with the rook. Now we have here king on g7, and now queen to g4, king on h6, and now the rook comes here, rook on d6. Of course he had to took here because it was checkmate. Now I simply took the queen, and after bishop on g7, here a couple of checks, and here I had mate in 6, but I didn't see that, of course. I was low on time, and here after queen on d5, I simply took out the rook here on a8, and of course it was a winning game for me. So here's as always a position for you to solve at home. Again, I'm pointing you out that this is now a demolition of a pawn structure with the common sacrifice on the square f7. So try to solve it, of course, have fun, and I think you can solve it by using this previous couple of examples. So of course, you can watch all of my chess tactics and chess puzzle series, and of course, if you want to try a really nice, aggressive and tactical opening for you, you can also watch my hyper accelerated Dragon Sicilian defense videos. And of course, guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thanks you for watching. Chess is the best.